Welcome to Profresh Barber Academy. I don't know how much research you've done. My name's Stamm, and I'm the owner here. I've also been a barber for 17 years, and I've built 3 locations across the last 15 years. But one of the major things that I learned was that barbers coming out of school were struggling with 3 major things. Number 1 was technical skills. Number 2 is how to market themselves. And number 3 is actually, after they made some money, what to actually do with it so they weren't stuck behind a chair for 30, 40 years. So being an entrepreneur with 3 shops, I was hiring barbers fresh out of school, and I realized they didn't really know how to cut. That frustrated me because most of them told me they paid about $20,000 plus, right? So I was like, you know what? I need to be able to solve this. So I went to barber school, got my instructor license, got into these schools to try to teach and help out, just to learn that most of the people who owned our schools didn't cut hair at all. They would hire the cheapest teacher they could find and produce the poorest result as a result, right? So I didn't like that. So it launched me on a mission, number 1, to be the leader in high quality men's grooming while encouraging the development of community, but also creating fair opportunities. I didn't feel barbers had a fair chance to succeed even though they spent their money because they weren't being trained well. So over the years, I was like, all right, I taught a little bit and I said, you know what, I'm gonna build a school, which ultimately led me to this vision, to ultimately lay a foundational system for success for entry-level barbers to learn, develop, enter into ownership, and retire financially free. That is the mission and vision behind Profresh Barber Academy. If you follow me over here, in this room here is what I would call our marketing studio. So anything that you've seen me create online probably came from in here. I put a nice little expensive chair in here because it just, you know, every barber wants that nice gold chair, right? And I got some lights and stuff in here, and I just come in here, and any of the teaching, trainings, and all that stuff you kind of see online probably came in this room. What I like to do here at the school to make sure each student gets cared for, right, intentionally, is once a month I usually take a student or 2, you know, every couple weeks, and I take them in here one-on-one to let us lock the door and them have my undivided attention to be developed, and also to just answer any questions they have. Some of them get on the floor, they're a little nervous, they're a little unsure, they don't want to be embarrassed in their classmates. You know how kids are, they say rude things, right? So it's just me and them in here, we lock in, they usually come out a new person when they leave, all right? If you follow me out here, this is our reception area. So we have a sign-in sheet. We do about 140 to 150 clients weekly. All my legitimate paperwork and stuff is here. We're not gonna be closed down. All the students make sure they sign in here because they have a clock-in clock, but technology does fail you, right? All right, so back here's my reception and main office. If you come in here, this is our curriculum for what we teach on a day-to-day basis. Our school has theory every morning at 8 a.m. to 9:30. Our clinical floor opens up from 9:30 to 7:30, and then 8 o'clock to 9:30 at night is our night class theory, and it's one of these blocks that we're going over each and every day. So students can come by here, you know where we are, you know what we're working on, you know what to be prepared for, so there's no excuses. Here is the plans, right? Most people think a barbershop is a bunch of mirrors and chairs and then, you know, you can open up, but you actually have to go in the city and get all your building plans, electrical plans, fire marshal to approve all your plans so you can actually start your build out. Here are some of the things. I got 2 sets of boot camps for when you first start. This is all the things you need to learn before you actually start cutting live models. This is our 2025 student calendar, which lets you know how many days you're going to be here. All the green ones are our major holidays that we have off. Our school classes are Monday through Thursday, and we have off on the weekends. ATL Plus magazine talked about me nice there. If you come in here, we got to move these back out from Dave. Can you do me a favor? Can you slide this back out the way? Put this on the main floor where it normally goes. All right. So if you come in here, this is our main classroom. So we're in here every morning from 8 a.m. to 9:30. So we'll come in here. You'll use some videos. I'll use some slides and stuff that I've built all myself. And then I usually use the whiteboard because I'm a teacher's teacher. I'm gonna make it make sense to you. I'm gonna try to simplify it so you can understand, because once you understand, then we can practice what we understand, and that's how ultimately we get better. The motto I have here at the school is that you only get better by giving me your best. So if you come every day, you give me your best, I'll guarantee you get better, right? If you don't give me your best, we're gonna work on giving me our best tomorrow. And all the times we're gonna do is just waste time until I can actually get a best effort out of you, and then we'll get better from there. All right, so if you follow me around here, right? This is our stage where we usually have a guest educator come in once a month, right? And we have our mobile stations. We move those. We set up all the chairs. So it's a multi-diverse operation here, depending on what we have going on. I try to make sure we have at least one guest educator a month. Sometimes it's two, right? But I try to get the best of the best people to come by here and just sow back into the youth of our industry, so we all have something we can be proud of as we go along and into broader horizons. If you come back here, this is our shampoo room. I'm always going to keep something motivational on the wall, because life, whenever you try to elevate, will challenge you. And sometimes you might need to just read something that can stick in your thoughts, because I just believe if you change your mind, you change your life. All right. If you come back here, this is our break room area. So we have a small little fridge and a microwave, and then a nice little table here to be able to eat. And then everybody gets a locker, a couple bathrooms, and a laundry room. And this is our area where you kind of get off the floor and get yourself a little break. Then we have an additional classroom here. There we go. All right, so if you come in here, this is our additional classroom. I just had to have some wiring done. So I have everything plugged in, and then we have our additional classroom. So all these seats and stuff are in here. And then we use this on Tuesday mornings. We usually do state board prep in here for all of our seniors, right? So you'll see a lot of the stands and the different mannequins, and then there's usually a seat in here in case we're doing some theory review. So it's either me or one of my teachers back here, you know, kind of prepping the students for exams, right? And, you know, a little additional stuff. So this is our additional classroom in here. All right.
I've been to a lot of schools, man. This is definitely spacious. Everybody on top of each other. They got an actual break room.
Yeah. So this is obviously our main floor. So these black stations you see, we have 20, because the State Board of Georgia allows 20 students per instructor. So I only have 20 students at a time. And then sometimes I have these additional stations where we do facials, shaves, workshops, and different things, one-on-one training, whatever we need to do on the floor. We usually have those stations set up. And then sometimes we may have, as we've been growing a lot, you know, once we sell out, we'll expand a little bit, but I need all of them to be mobile, so we still have our stage at play. And then if you follow me up to the front, I'll introduce you to our entire goal here for when you join, right? If you come up here, it is my goal to create an identity shift for you when you join. So, right, I tell people all the time, you should always strive to be a professional, but I want you to be a professional. And I have an acronym here on the wall: distractful time in life than right now. But the people who focused are the ones who win, right? I want you to be real. I want you to be authentic, be who you really are. I want you to be honest not only with other people, I want you to be honest with yourself, right? We all can make improvements. I want you to focus on becoming educated, always be learning, be a student for life. I want you to be selfless. This doesn't mean I want you to think less of yourself. I just want you to think of yourself less. Put others' needs in front of your own, right? And I want you to be humble, right? Have a teachable spirit. There's always something new we can learn. There's always a time where we can make others feel good and not make the entire conversation about us. I want you to be intentional. I want you to have a game plan, right? If you fail to plan, you are destined to plan to fail. And be original, right? Embrace your natural abilities, right? Some people are going to be great at certain things and you're not. Everybody has a uniqueness design that gives them an edge. You have to embrace that and be original, be exactly who you are. I think it'll serve you well. Be noble. Be somebody who's always trying to improve character-wise, right? Personal development has been the biggest and best, most profitable journey of my entire life, and I hope everybody can follow in suit of that. Be accountable. You're not going to get everything right. I make mistakes daily. It's about owning them and trying to do better, which is what makes life so grand. And then be a leader. Be somebody who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And if you can embody all those traits when you leave here, I think I've done a job well done.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I think, you know what I mean, you can walk around and say you graduated from Profresh Barber Academy and now you're a professional, right? So that's the vision, that's the mission, that's the game plan. And that's ultimately, I think,
something that has a lot of pride.
For sure, it's definitely a movement, and I just feel like everybody that comes here feels that, and is part of that now. So
yeah, absolutely, bro. Great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
What do you say? How do you say? I'm just about to ski the other day. I go by the name of Terah Da Barber, and y'all know this is razor sharp podcast. Today we are here at Profresh Barber Academy. Your boy took an hour drive just to get here to see my boy Jason.
Thank you, bro.
All the way from
Thank you.
McDonough
Thank you.
here to check out the cut. The look and learn was amazing, my brother. So
Appreciate
first
that.
and foremost, thank you for coming through to dropping the knowledge, not just for the students, but for whoever just came and took the time out to get their learning on today.
Absolutely.
So, I definitely learned a lot. You know, what I've been focusing on now is getting a lot of share work done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm more predominantly doing a lot of fades and stuff like that, but it's good when you start to get more share work in. So thank you for doing that look and learn. I really learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
You made it real simple from the beginning all the way down to your gradual blend, and then just explaining you didn't do as much clipper work, but the clipper work that you did use, you not using guards except for like one, and then actually doing a lot of freehand. A lot of barbers is not really getting into that as what I see, especially at like a lot of hair shows.
Absolutely.
But you being able to show that technique of just using straight freehand work and really just being able to pivot and really coast the whole scalp.
Absolutely.
Was definitely something that people need to see more.
For sure.
You know, we see each other a lot, like all these different hair shows, and
Yeah.
you know, you see a lot of educators on stage, but a lot of them don't know the vernacular, don't know how to really explain the overall cut. And you actually took the time, in a small time you had, to really break it down.
Right.
And I believe that everybody's seen the step by step to it, and they'll be able to take that and run with it. So
Exactly. And so my whole mission is to the what, why, and how. And how do we make it simple? You know, there's a lot of different methods and curriculums that make those type of haircuts very complex and hard. And so if you don't go to like a private school, like a Paul Mitchell or something, and you're not pivot point trained, it's almost impossible for you to learn these things, especially
Absolutely.
if you're in a shop that doesn't really have those haircuts coming through. And so people like yourself that wants to sought out more skill,
Yep.
it's really hard for you to, for one, sit in front of a pivot point instructor because you're not pivot point trained. So
Absolutely.
you don't understand the concept of that. So what I've done is I've really taken the pivot point method and a bunch of other methods. There's 4 different methods. There's a free form, there's French, and there's British, and there's a condensed.
Okay.
And so those are the 4 cutting methods when you're using shears and longer hair. And so what you do is you can take all those curriculums and blend them together, and then you make it really simple. Another person that I like to tell people to follow is Josh O.P. He has a DSF formula, and so that formula really helps break it down just as much as I break it down in myself. And so it's basically connecting the dots. And so a lot of times when you're using shears, we don't know where we're going or where we're coming from. And so what I like to do to simplify it is we create the dots, we figure out where the dots need to be, and then we connect the dots. And
Absolutely.
it makes it super easy. It makes it anybody. I can take anybody from a store and teach them, as long as they can cut the hair with a pair of scissors, I can teach them how to do the haircut.
that's amazing, bro. And I tell a lot of people all the time, as long as you connect your dots, even when it comes to a hairline, it's all about going from dot to dot to dot to actually getting everything into
right.
perspective. And you broke it down very well. You know, from a barber being from I want to say like a small town like Warner Robins and moving around and being an educator with COCCO, what can you tell a barber out there that's really just getting into the barber industry now and see what you're doing? What kind of word of encouragement can you give them?
Man, leadership. Leadership is the most important thing. Mentorship. Find somebody that's doing a little bit of what you're doing, even if you're better than them at what you're trying to do. If they've already done it, then that means they have a direct path to it. And so my career completely changed whenever I understood how important leadership was and the fact of following, right? And so you can't lead unless you're willing to follow. And so I guess the biggest turning point in my career is marrying myself to somebody that's seen more in me than I've seen in myself.
That's amazing.
And so I just, instead of rebelling on it, I took it and I ran with it, and I took it with the punches. I had some losses, but they were more of the lessons. You take your losses and turn them into lessons.
Yeah.
But the most important part is don't let a negative perspective create your perspective. You need to move with positivity, move with passion, move with love. Relationship first, money second. And so I would say that's I guess that's the best words of encouragement for any new barber. Find your leadership. lock them down, be disciplined, and follow until you get to the end of their leadership. And then when you get to the end of that, because I've changed leadership before, and so when you get to the top of that leadership, you want to have something in the pipeline for another leadership. And so then it's a lot of times where the leadership might change positions, but the point I'm trying to make is be versatile.
Yes.
Well, as much versatility that you want in your haircutting skills, you also want that amount of versatility in your personality. And so your personality really controls whether or not you get these relationships or not.
Yeah.
And so,
Last question I got for you is, what do you see in the industry that you want to see changed?
I want to see the respect of the barber be higher. I want the census to prove that barbers can be successful. I want the regular Joe Schmo at the store to treat me as if I can be as successful as a doctor, and treat me with the same respect. Now, can barbers do what doctors do? Absolutely not. But we're just talking about the success portion of it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as you have a system and you have a plan, you can be successful at any option, any spot of those careers, anything that you choose. But the most important thing is let's pay our taxes,
Absolutely.
Let's pour into the industry and build the community, so that way when you tell people you cut hair, you get a respect that a lawyer would get, right? And so I know plenty of barbers that make just as much as lawyers, and you go ask somebody at Walmart how much a barber makes, and they're going to tell you, oh, they might make $30,000 or $40,000 a year. Well, that's not true. And the census also agrees with that, because most barbers don't really treat barbering as a business.
Absolutely.
And so that's why they don't pay their taxes, and they're trying to hide this money and all this other stuff.
Yep.
But that goes into like bigger issues, obviously. And so I would say if I wanted to see one thing change in the industry, it's the way barbers treat the business part.
I respect that. And it's funny you say that, because I was listening to E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher yesterday morning on one of his videos, and he was saying that the reason why he went and continued college and got his bachelor's and went and got his master's is because when you bring a higher degree of education and you show them exactly what you're capable of doing, it puts you in different rooms.
Right.
And it is that stigma of barbering is just a hustle. We have to be the ones,
right,
the barbers that's out there going to these different hair shows and doing these community events and really putting ourselves out there.
Yep.
We the ones that have to show people that we deserve the respect.
That's right.
And like all of these things with all of these different states, they talk about how they want to deregulate barbers, barber licenses and amount of hours, and make it seem like it's not a professional standard. Yeah. And it is.
That's right.
1,500 hours is not really easy to come by.
Yeah.
But we have to be the one to say no, that we're for it. And the way that we present ourselves also.
Yeah, I believe that's more hours than an officer has to do.
Really?
To become an officer. At least
crazy.
in our area. Yep.
It's crazy.
And then I would also say, OGs, stop gatekeeping. Stop gatekeeping. The new generation is what changes what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And if you stop it right here at the new generation, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna end up doing something else to gain the respect, and that's just crazy talk.
Yep, I've always been the one. Last year, 2024, I was able to be honored and receive the OG Barber Award from.
Congratulations!
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why is because we're OG because we offer game.
Right.
And we don't try to shun away from the newer generation. We know that is a newer generation. These new barbers are coming into the game, already know how to cut very well, already know how to market themselves on social media, already be able to make a lot of money when it took us $10 haircuts, $20 haircuts. Now they starting off $40, $50 haircuts. Yep. But us as OGs, we can't be mad at that. Nah. We need to be a part of it and say, we embrace it and we see what they doing and try to emulate some of what they doing, because we learn now from what's going on now. A lot of these old school barbers are not on social media and they got 25 followers and they want to understand why they're not making the money.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons.
Yep. And the value of a man is not the amount of money he can have, but the amount of impact that he can provide for his community.
Fact.
And being a gatekeeper, you can't provide no impact.
No.
And so then you gatekeeping all the way to you dead, and now you're by yourself.
Yep.
And so
I thank you, my brother. This your boy Terah Da Barber. Jason is in the building. We here at Profresh Barber Academy. Shout out to Will for putting this on.
Yeah, for real, man.
You dig? And this is Razor Sharp Podcast.
Shout out, man. Shout out to the barbers, man. Y'all stay up.
I know the vibes.